Aloha, hi, and welcome wherever you're watching from. I'm Jason Weeks, and joining us today on our first episode of Oz Longboarding Podcast. So I'm joined around Australia by a great panel of hosts for you today, and today we'll be getting to know those hosts and how they are involved in longboarding. So first, I'd like to welcome to the podcast all the way from the Gold Coast on, very northern New South Wales coast. G'day, Mr. Sean McKeown.
Good evening crew.
Good to see you, mate. So it was basically your idea to get this podcast going. Talk us through the motivation and what inspired you.
Only 2 weeks ago, I got a invite to watch a podcast that the bros back in NZ were putting together. It was talking about who to invite to a shootout at the point. And I looked and went, why aren't we doing something like this? So to Daniel Proctor, Kelly Ryan, Daniel Crosby, all those boys, they put this together and thought, man, we can't have them show us up. We'll do one ourselves.
Nice one. And so I jumped on and had a look at the guys from Gisborne, the Gisborne Board Riders podcast the other night. Great stuff, guys and girls. So hopefully they'll be tuning in with us again today. So let's just take a quick lap around. So Sean is famous in Australia as an event promoter and coordinator, but what people don't know is that he used to also be mistaken for a pro surfer. So you've been longboarding for how long, mate?
Well, I was introduced to surfing by my old man back in about 1960, 61. We'd go down the beach on a Sunday morning and the old man would hire a big yellow Malibu from Waikanae kiosk, and we'd go out and go tandem for an hour or two till we had to put the board back. And hey, I've been on boards ever since.
Nice one, mate. And a lot of your life has been devoted to Australian Longboard Surfing Open and the old the Hog's Breath Tour. And so obviously you've been around for a while, Suzuki Pro and whatnot. So you're one of the old heads here, and you'll be our expert as far as inside line on how to organise, promote, market, and deal with the government for competition points of view. But we're going to go now to someone a bit younger and definitely a bit more, definitely a bit better looking, all the way up on the Sunshine Coast. G'day, Kirra Molnar.
Hey, how you going?
Good, mate. Good. Thanks for joining us. And so obviously you haven't been surfing for as long as Sean has, but how did you get into longboarding, Kirra?
Well, all I can say is I live in Noosa. I used to be a shortboarder, and because I live here, I guess I'm a longboarder. Yeah.
No worries. And so you're obviously involved in the sports fitness kind of world. Talk us a bit through that. You're a pretty busy lady.
Yeah, I have been busy. I thought it'd be a bit quieter, but still busy. So I studied sports and exercise science after school at uni, and then kind of got into a job with pro movement and surf coaching. So I go between the two, work for a couple of different companies, and yeah, love it.
Awesome. And obviously we'll be hitting you up for some advice, especially for our older surfers on how to overcome their injuries and things. And obviously for the young up-and-comers, maybe how to avoid it. So speaking of young up-and-comers, let's skip all the way down to sunny Victoria, where we are joined today by Mr. Nathan Rivalland. G'day, Nathan.
G'day, Weeksy. How you going, mate?
Good, mate. Good. Thanks for joining us. So you're obviously, like I say, the young up-and-comer, the young buck of the group. You do a bit of commentating as well as, well, you've stopped competing, but you used to compete in both longboarding and shortboarding. Talk us through that journey, Nath.
Yeah, so kind of started competing in it was mostly shortboarding to start off with when I was about 13, just with the local board riders club, and then started to dabble in longboarding a bit. Dad loves his longboarding, so does the rest of my family. So I kind of got into that around 15, and then started longboarding, competing in both. And then, probably got to about 17 and realised, like my passion outside of, school and uni would be to try and become a sports journalist, and then fell into doing commentating with Surfing Vic. So it's kind of meant that I've had to sacrifice a bit of competing to do the commentating, but I'm hoping to get back into the comps maybe after this COVID little disaster's over.
Fair enough. It's been interesting times, hasn't it? We'll talk more about that in a little while, but certainly in one way or another, it's affected all of us all around the country in different ways, but everyone's affected. So good place to hide away from being affected by things is Byron Bay, and joining us from that beautiful part of the world, Mr. Jack Entwistle. How are you, Jack?
Hey, Wexy. Yeah, I'm pretty good. Can't complain. Wave's been pretty fun, and yeah, it's kind of been a nice, quiet time in Byron over the last couple of months. So, yeah, good waves, good weather, quiet. It's been pretty good.
And so, obviously, great to have you on board. Proudly rocking the Okanui shirt. Great to have Okanui supporting our top line surfers. Gary McCormick from WA said, "I've got to say good day from Gary as well, Jack." You said,
sweet. Good old Gary. G'day, Gary. How are you, mate?
So good lad, and obviously Jack spends a lot of time in WA as well, and got a lot of mates on this side of things. You've actually, Kirra, you took out the first ever Whalebone Classic Logger women's division, didn't you? That last year?
Yeah, that was 2 years ago now, I think.
Year before, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And so a couple of you made your way across to WA, and of course I'm lucky enough to get across to the East Coast. We'll be having a look in a little while in some of the footage from Agnes Water, where Kirra, did well despite the conditions. It was a bit tricky there for the pro logger, wasn't it?
Yeah, lucky we were logging.
Well, exactly. And this is, I mean, for me being from Western Australia, I got into longboarding so that days that weren't perfect could still be fun. And I got to say, these days, the longboard comes out of the car and the shortboard stays in there more than the other way around. Have you guys always longboarded, or some of you new to it like myself? You hit one for us, Jack.
I started shortboarding when I was really young, and then every time the Noosa Festival came here, I'd sort of start competing. And then a couple of years ago, I was like, I want to take this more seriously. It's heaps fun. So that's sort of what got me into it.
Perfect. And so, I don't know.
I mean, I still shortboard at the moment. I've been shortboarding the last couple of days. I just mainly have more fun, obviously riding longboards and catch way more waves, which is the main benefit. But yeah, if the waves are like, pumping, or if I go overseas, I'll tend to take a shortboard with me. But yeah, my passion and my love for longboarding definitely outweighs shortboarding, yeah.
And so, Nathan, what about you, mate? Because you're a bit like me as a commentator at surf events, and really my interest in longboarding began when I commentated a couple of longboard events and realised that they were having way more fun than the shortboard guys. Has your experience been the same in Victoria?
Yeah, I reckon pretty similar. It's especially been like probably the last sort of year or so. I broke my ankle probably November 2018. And I was doing a bit of both, mostly shortboarding before that. And then after that, obviously, was just trying to rehab back into surfing, and then just really tried to pick up the longboarding again. And I'm the same as the guys. Like I'd much rather be, hanging 10 than doing a big Rio on my shorty at the moment. I don't know. It's just how I feel. But it's, yeah, sick.
And as the elder statesman, Sean, what's your take on things, mate? Shortboards weren't invented when you started surfing, were they?
No, it was definitely started on the old dungers, but been through the transition a little bit. Remember having fantastic plastics as well when we were part of the Castor Bay Ripple Riders. As we got a bit older, the shortboards came in, went through that era, had a blast on them, and didn't really get interested till 79. I was lifeguarding at Raglan, and I saw a guy out surfing at the back of Indicators, and I'm not kidding you that this wave came through. We didn't even know he was out there. It had to have been 18, 20 foot high. He was on a modern Mal. He just rode the sea. He didn't climb, he didn't turn, he just stood there. And we were just in awe of the fact this guy could catch a wave that big. Ended up meeting him. His name was Dennis Conquest. He was an expat from the States. And that got me interested in longboarding. So I started riding longboards not too long afterwards. And when I say longboards, they were all 8 foots. Wayne Parks used to shape them for us. Came to Australia, and it was just huge over here when I arrived in 87. And haven't looked back. I love them.
So clearly what you're saying is Australia is better than New Zealand.
It's warmer.
That's what I'm hearing.
That's it.
So I know that one of your favourite hobbies is bashing wallabies. So a bit of a rugby supporter and player as well over the years. But Alrighty then. So we get a bit of a feel for things. People have come from different angles, different directions. Are there many longboarders getting out in the pool at Tullamarine, Nath? I'm seeing longboarders surfing places in Western Australia where we never would have seen them before. Are you in the wave pool? What's the mix? Longboard, fun boards, shortboards?
Yeah, there's been quite a lot of fishers and shortboards, but not a hell of a lot of longboarders. Especially like I haven't seen any longboarders take on the advanced wave yet because the takeoff's pretty hairy.
Coming down.
Jack's and I'm like, yeah.
Oh, yeah, do it. I'd be sick to see, but yeah. But yeah, I've seen the odd longboarder in the intermediate sessions, and it's a really fun log wave. Like I think you could, really have a good time.
Right, I'm going to put my money down now. I want to see a longboard comp with the best of the best longboarders out there.
Yeah, that would be amazing, wouldn't it?
I reckon that'd be a real good thing to watch. And obviously, which brings us neatly to COVID-19, because no one can go there at the moment except for Victorians. Is that right?
Yeah, at the moment, yeah, that's right. Well, it's actually closed at the moment. And they're doing some extra maintenance on the pool just whilst, it's closed. They're originally going to have to close, I think, in August to do some maintenance, but now they're doing it now and are going to obviously put the time back to open it. So I'm thinking we'll probably open apparently maybe mid-June-ish or start of July. So we'll see.
Awesome. Now, you're probably all getting messages from your friends, which is why all that binging in the background. Just so you know what's going on, the live stream's not going out to Facebook at the moment. So once this is finished, I've got the recording, so we'll put it onto the Facebook page. I think it's because I was playing that song. So it's a little message from Facebook saying something about pre-roll content and stuff. So there you go. This is episode 1, and that's what it's all about. So COVID-19, Jack, where you are in Byron Bay, you're fairly close to the border. Obviously, Sean's right on the border. How is things being organised down your way? Are people being allowed to go surfing?
Yeah, obviously the Queensland borders has been closed. We're not allowed to go up to Queensland, even though they're allowed to come down here. Doesn't matter.
Yahoo!
That's a weird.
Yeah, it's obviously they've closed the car parks around Byron. You can't park in the car parks past or Wadigos. Oh, sorry, you can't have Wadigos at Broken and that sort of thing. And police definitely have been strict on on rego and number plates, making sure people are staying in their postcode. But to be honest, it's still hasn't been that quiet compared to what it probably should be. But I think it's just because of the waves have been really pumping the last couple of weeks that everyone's not working and just getting out there and making the most of isolation, I guess.
No worries. And so obviously, Sean, we'll skip to you. I'll work my way up the coast. You've had some interesting experiences. What's the overall vibe there on the New South Wales Queensland border?
It's a joke. I'm not kidding you. It's an absolute joke. All it does is create traffic queues. I've got a permit. It took me 30 seconds to apply and receive my permit through the computer. You jump in the queue, you head up to the border, and sometimes they will look at it from a distance. I've been waved through and with one officer with his back to us. Another time, a guy just didn't look. The only time I've been stopped and had it checked was they accused me of speeding coming into the checkpoint. Yeah, you'd have to be absolutely stupid to be speeding.
Yeah.
Everyone who lives here has applied for a permit and been given one. So it doesn't stop anything.
Whoever that is getting those notifications, turn your bing thing off. So, yeah, look, I guess that's what I've been hearing is that not so much that we don't need the crossings or we don't need the control, but the fact that border there between Queensland and New Zealand, they're basically just letting everyone through, so it's not really doing a whole lot.
Queensland and New Zealand, good one.
Well, I'm Sean, Queensland, New South Wales.
Hey,
Yeah.
Thanks,
if that much sand at Kirra, Rainbow and that, you could walk to New Zealand.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I was looking at those waves in the background, that picture from Tea Tree. It's like you wouldn't start off on that paddle if the waves looked like that. What a beautiful print. That's from back when you were a youngster, hey, Kirra?
Yeah. Ian Borland took this photo, so thought I'd make a nice background here.
Beautiful. And g'day to Ian if he's watching. No one's watching live now because I messed up the Facebook settings, but g'day to those who are tuning in for the later viewings. But all right. So then, Nathan, obviously we've spoken about Victoria, the COVID-19. Is there had much of a real impact at the beaches? Have you had shutdowns? Have you had car park closures?
Yeah, we had a few beaches that closed initial. Oh, sorry, they were still open for recreation, but closed obviously with car parks and everything. So people, weren't supposed to really access the beach for anything else other than really surfing. But that got kind of thrown out the window a bit, and they took the ban off some of the beaches. And it's just been really busy, like I'm sure everywhere else has been. It feels like it's summer again, or it's like Christmas. It's just stupid. But we're lucky now we can travel around a bit to go for a surf. Initially, we were only supposed to stay in sort of like a, 10, 20 kilometre radius. And if you were caught out of that zone or your postcode, you were fine. So it's good now we can kind of drive around a little bit more and try and get a quieter wave.
And so here in Western Australia, it's been very bizarre. We actually had our state broken up into 13 areas, which has now been reduced to 7. So where I'm sitting now, I'm just outside of Perth. Where I live is Landsland, which is about 150 kilometres that way. And obviously I sell surfboard wax, so I've got to go up and down the coast. So I couldn't go to Margaret River, for example. And even with the shutdowns now, so I didn't go home for 5 weeks. I went home last week for the first time because I realised that you could just go online and get a pass. I didn't look into it, just like that. But what we've found in WA is because people can't go to work or school or can't go and play their other sports, the surf's actually been more crowded than ever. Landsland, where I live, just over the first border out of Perth, has been fantastic because there's only about 30 surfers in town. So they've been getting great surf with not many people out. But down south and even the good breaks around Perth have just been getting smashed. Like Isolators Reef, for those of you who've been to the Whalebone, picture that with 80 people on it every day of the week. So
wow, really?
Yeah, bro. So not fun. People paddling over the top of each other. But who's been getting the best waves? I mean, I've had a couple of good surfs. I'm pretty happy. But Jackie, you seem like you look like fighting fit, mate. Where have you been surfing?
Mate, everywhere's been really good because we've got a lot of good sand and good banks at the moment. Can't really say where, but pretty much, all the back beaches and Tallows, down to Broken, down to Lennox. There's been waves pretty much every day, and the pass at the moment has like some of the best sand I've seen in a long time. Well, since I've been living up here. So, the sand there is just like, it's like a mini snapper almost. It's instead of coming straight in, it's going wide and just, pretty much hollow tubes the whole way across. So, looks like from Monday, we get this really big south swell, and it should be pretty cool to see what that does.
That brings me neatly to the next question for us all. We'll do it clockwise, starting with Kirra at the top right of our vast country. How's the surf looking for the weekend, Kirra?
I'm pretty sure I've got a little surf report here I can show you. So I took this one from Tea Tree. I think you guys can all see that there.
Oh, yep.
So we're kind of looking like southwest, west, northwest swell, and it's been really, really good on the open beaches lately. So like Sunshine Stretch along Perugian and all there. It's been really clean most of the day actually with the westerly winds, so that's been sweet. And then the swell picks up in the start of next week and turns a little bit more offshore for the point, so they could be working Monday, Tuesday, and then again Thursday, Friday. So hopefully we get that swell that Jack was talking about. We never seem to usually always get it quite that big up here, but hopefully it comes through.
And so for the people who haven't been to the Noosa Points, explain how on earth you're on the east coast but an east-northeasterly is an offshore.
Okay, so we are if you're at Noosa Bay, it's a north-facing point. So basically our offshore technically is more sort of southeast, is protected by the points and the headland that wraps around. So if you're at the points and that sort of thing, you kind of want a southeast wind that protects that area, more with like a northerly sort of swell, which will get in there, or more east in the swell. If you're on the opens and that sort of thing, that's why that westerly, those beaches that run down the other side of the point, they are really good on those westerly sort of more offshore winds as well there, and the southwest. So.
And so you tend to surf the points more or the open beaches?
It really depends, just wherever the waves are best and wherever the wind is good. But it's convenient. The only sort of real bad wind is the northerly winds. I call them the devil winds, because they're always sort of like northeast is always pretty onshore here. But yeah, usually the points, if they're working, if there's enough swell, if it's clean on the opens, I'll be there. So bit of both.
I'm just sitting here madly writing notes now for my next visit to the Sunshine Coast. So looking at that report then, so you've got westerlies. What's the pick of the spots for the weekend, in your opinion?
So the weekend, I'd be hitting up the open beaches along the Sunshine Stretch. So open beaches stretch all the way from Sunshine to Coolum, around Noosa area and that sort of thing. Definitely be there. A little bit of easterly swell coming in, so medium-sized waves. Definitely be hitting up the open stretches. And the good thing is you can spread out along there too, so definitely helps to spread the crowds out a little bit.
Beautiful. What a great report. Thanks for that, mate. So that makes us then down to someone who's not going to be anywhere as technological with theirs. Sean McKeown, how's the Gold Coast looking for the weekend?
Oh, great, mate. And yeah, pretty hard act to follow that one. Hey, just before I start, you're selling wax. Why don't you start a rumour that there's a shortage of wax and people will go out and buy it in bulk?
That's a great idea. And because it's 100% Australian made, we don't run out. So don't buy Chinese made wax. Chinese made wax has got COVID in it.
Get that plug-in, Weeksy.
I did not know you had that ready to go.
Yeah, I was about to say.
As if you didn't know.
The plug was
I actually
coming.
didn't know. I just looked over and saw them here in the spare room. But what I've actually got these here for is what we're going to do each week is give away some prizes for people who send in the best questions. So this week will have to be someone who sent in a question during the week on the Facebook page. Once I get the technology sorted, we'll be able to do live feedback throughout the show. So someone's going to win themselves some Huey's Choice wax, but as we go along, we'll get some real sponsors who can afford to give us some expensive stuff. But this is week one. We'll start off with the best Aussie made, 100% Aussie made wax in the country. Anyway, where were we at?
Okay, so yeah, down here, like my regular spot now is at Kirra, mainly because you can never get a car parked round at Rainbow Snapper at all. The points, southern end of the Gold Coast have just been going off. Yeah, sort of last week we had some, solid swell for a few days, and during the week it was pumping. Coming up to the weekend and early next week, it looks as though we're still going to have good swell. Trouble is, like everywhere that's close to a city, we are getting smashed by the crowds in the water, and a lot of people never seen before. When the area is pumping, we used to get everyone flying in from Sydney and elsewhere to surf Kirra and Snapper. These tend to be local people who normally you wouldn't take too much notice of, but I guess they're not working, and they're making the most of it. It's not uncommon to see 300 or 400 people out on the points.
Well, look, I think from a mental health point of view, from an immune system strengthening point of view, nothing better we could be doing than getting out, getting some exercise, getting some vitamin D in the sunshine. So I think there's very good reasons why it's a great idea for surfers to go surfing. Be sensible, guys. Don't hang around and hug each other on the beach like you normally do. I know that's what you guys do at Kirra every morning, Sean. Tell us a little bit, while we're there with you, Sean, tell us a bit about the Kirra Coffee Club, because that's a fantastic collection of non-competitive longboarders who are just having a good time.
Yeah, underneath the Kirra Surf Life Saving Club, there's Rachel's got this little hole-in-the-wall coffee shop, and in the mornings it attracts such a varied group of people. You've got clubbies that come down that go for a swim, an ocean swim. You've got people that go for walks. You've got surfers. A lot of them, they're not people that we know. A lot of them are entry-level surfers and that sort of thing. But they all turn up and have a coffee and a talk, and there's a really good vibe there. It's some really interesting people. So last year we started an event there, just the Kirra Longboard Classic, and that was aimed at all these people that go and surf Kirra on a regular basis and have a coffee afterwards. And it was just a real low-key fun event. It was going back in time.
Tell all the crew hi from me, Bob, and all the crew that get down there each morning. I was lucky enough to go to that event, and really great fun, and the vibe second to none. There's been some great comps I've been to lately, and that was a highlight because it wasn't competitive, so it enabled me the chance to get a decent result. Anyway, let's go further down the coast, and Byron Bay and Sydney surf report for this weekend, please, Mr. Jack Entwistle.
I don't have it on the screen, but I've got it just in front of me here. And yeah, there's obviously a big south swell that's building, obviously, that's hit Sydney at the moment. Might have seen some footage today, but down in Sydney and Avalon. But yeah, there's the south swell kicks in up here tomorrow. Westerly winds all weekend into next week, which is perfect because yeah, south swell and west winds is perfect for our open beaches. And then slowly dropping off into next week up here. As you'd imagine, Sydney right now is pretty big and maxing out. I think it's about 5 meters or something. Pretty solid south swell that's heading up the coast. And yeah, obviously some strong winds in Sydney today and the next couple of days into the weekend. And they slowly ease off early into next week as that swell kind of fades up north. So plenty of ways around.
So where are you going to be heading on the weekend?
I'll be going for the early, definitely tomorrow. Had a pretty fun surf at in between Suffolk and Broken today, so probably get up the early and make the most of the building south swell on the high tide in the morning.
Beautiful. And from there down to somewhere not quite so warm. Nath, how's Victoria looking for the weekend, mate?
Yeah, I'll pull it up for you guys. Give me one sec. Can you guys see that?
Yep.
Sweet. Yeah, so the weekend, it's not looking as good as what it's been. I was saying earlier, it's been pumping at home for a while. But we've got onshore winds tomorrow through Sunday and then through Monday as well. And as well as Tuesday will be probably cross-shore, but you're probably going to be wanting to head to the more protected corners this weekend to surf down here. But it's going to be, I think, between 3 and 5 foot for the next 3 days. So at least there'll be some swell around. But yeah, I think you'll have to escape to the protected spots.
Nice one. Good advice. Now, the South Australians, they won't tell us what the surf's like there, and if they do tell you, there's a pretty good chance they're lying. So we'll skip past the Cactus crew. Hey, Wayne Gurney, I know he's tuning in today because he sent me some messages earlier on. But I'll get you to drop that one down, Nathan. I might bring up the WA report. As I mentioned earlier on, it's a case of get it done on Saturday or don't get it done at all. So sorry, I've just gone and turned you guys all off, haven't I? Hang on. So you see the youngsters showing us the way with the technology. You guys just seeing me looking backwards and forwards across my screen, aren't you?
Yeah.
So, sorry guys, I've got 20,000 different things open here. But the surf report I was trying to share, no. So I can tell you that Saturday we have not a too bad a day on the West Australian coast. Normally there's different reports for the down south, up north, and the Perth metropolitan area. Obviously it's a very large coast that Western Australia covers, but I can tell you that Saturday and Sunday is going to be northeasterlies, which is not too bad on Saturday morning. 25 knots in the morning. We're getting weaker to about 10 knots south-southeast in Perth Metro, which means there'll be a little window of opportunity to surf on Saturday. But Sunday morning, 40 knot northeasterlies, kilometre an hour, 50 knots in the middle of the day, and then dropping off to 40 knots southwesters in the afternoon. So basically, if you want to surf in WA on the weekend, get it done on Saturday. So that's a pretty good wrap up of around the coast. So what I want to talk about with you now, guys, if I may, is I want to know a bit more about what's going on competition-wise within your state as far as your state bodies are concerned. So Nathan, have you got any information from Surfing Victoria when they plan on being back to business as usual?
Yeah, so we're still just following the restrictions that are put in by the government. At the moment, we're not allowed to run any comps at all. No real sports going back. Some of the team sports like footy and all that, AFL's massive in Victoria, as you probably know. So that can go back. But in terms of surfing comps, I think we're waiting for an announcement on the 1st of June. And then they're going to take it from there but we've moved the events backwards to sort of Septemberish. We were originally supposed to have our second state round this weekend at Point Impossible, in between Torquay and 13th. And yeah, that's kind of the crux of it. But yeah, we're supposed to have it this weekend. Obviously, it's not going to run, so I think they've moved it to September. So yeah, no real.
So are you allowed to talk about? You allowed to talk about Point Impossible to people who aren't from Victoria?
Maybe I shouldn't be. I said that. Everyone.
Edit that.
Edit that out.
I lived in Victoria for a couple of years and I've been lucky enough to see it break a few times, but I've also been skunked down there quite a lot. What sort of percentage of times do you reckon you get impossibles when you go looking?
It's probably like a 70%. I'm pretty lucky when I go there. Kind of lucky if some of my friends will check it a bit earlier or give us the inside and be like, all right, Point Impossible's going to be on. But yeah, I've been lucky every time lately that I've been going to check it out, but it's been super busy actually. I don't think it's much of a secret.
No, used to be a secret spot and get around to Vancouver and a couple of those little spots, but really? Is that? Don't say that one. I mean, Torquay is really good.
Yeah, Torquay Front Beach.
Yeah. So I'll skip over that and get to my surf report for Western Australia. So I spoke to Justin Majex, who's the events coordinator and director for Surfing WA, legend of a man. Everyone who's met him loves him. And he's just responded to a couple of questions. Hey, Weeksy, fair bit of uncertainty with regards to events still, mate. We'd need all internal borders to be open so that all members can attend the events because WA, like I said, it's broken up into different areas at the moment. And minimum number of people needs to be 100 before we even look at recommencing events. Makes sense. At this stage, Surfing Australia is still planning on the Aussie titles in late October, November. So Whalebone currently unlikely due to COVID-19. So thanks, Justin, for getting back to us with those. So situation at the moment is obviously nothing much is going to be happening until everything is opened up. How's things looking in New South Wales, Jack, competitively speaking?
I spoke to Luke Madden, who's the CEO of Surfing New South Wales, and he was saying that that the state titles are going to be run in August for all longboards, masters, juniors, SUP, and everything like that. But yeah, the longboard state titles will be held in August. I'm not too sure where, but like he said that definitely Aussies will be in October at Port Macquarie. And only if all the Health Act. He said if the Health Act plays its part in coming good, I guess, then that'll all go ahead, which is good.
Cool. So there's light at the end of the tunnel. And Kirra, am I right? Did Queensland already have your state rounds to decide your team for the Nationals?
Yeah, we did. We got really lucky and we did it basically like the week before they did the whole 14-day isolation and everything and shut all the borders. So we just got it in there, which was thankfully. The logger and longboard titles are held at Alex and Point Cartwright, and we had some pretty epic waves, which was fun.
Cool bananas. And did you make the team?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay, so one thing I've noticed now, I've got an unusual record in surfing. I surfed for 3 different states 3 consecutive years. So I surfed WA 1 year, Queensland the next year, New South Wales the year after that because I moved states. WA, 3 competitions, best 2 results count. Queensland was a 1-day comp at Burleigh. And New South Wales basically ran a full nationals as a regional qualifier. So actually the regional qualifier didn't happen that year, but the New South Wales state qualifying competition was basically a full week competition, just like the nationals. So interesting that all the different states have a different way of choosing their teams. How's your team looking this year, Kirra?
Yeah, it's pretty good. We've got, from the women's side, Emily Lethbridge. I think you guys would have probably heard of her before. And then also her younger sister, Charlotte. And in the junior women's, Charlotte and Luca Doble. The men's, if I remember rightly, I think they take 4 from the men's in the logger. So pretty sure Nick Brewer won the logger. And then there was Clinton, Bowie and Zach were in the final there. And I think...
Bowie back in a contest jersey. That's exciting.
Yeah. He was killing it at Alex on the first day too, actually.
And of course, good mates with Clinton Guest as well through our mutual friendship with Mark McNamara. So great to see Clinton still at the top there with his multiple national logging titles in hand. And in fact, I've got some exciting news to you, which slips in nicely. Thanks for that, Kirra. Our first official guest next week, because we were going to have a board shaper. I've just been speaking with Steve Del Rosso just before I came onto this call. If you're happy, Sean, Steve Del Rosso will come on next week and talk to us about how he's working on Clinton's shapes for the logging and how that fits in with the new criteria and things. So for the viewers at home, if you've got some questions about surfboard design, particularly longboarding and where it's heading, where it's going, put some questions on the Facebook page or tune in live hopefully for the stream next week to ask Steve while he's on the call. But so that's great news. And he's very close to you, Sean. And obviously from a contest point of view, you've unfortunately had to cancel the Australian Longboard Surfing Open this year, which has become an iconic event that a lot of Australia's longboarders travel to each year, as well as competitors from around the world. And I know that you've got a few irons in the fire as far as contests at all times. Where is the current legislative or the insurance or the Surfing Australia? Where are you at as far as when can we expect to see some heats in the water again?
At the moment, I've got a couple of submissions to run events in Queensland, mainly because there's a fair bit of support from the government at the moment in Queensland. So the big problem is with the fact that after August, September, we start to get northerly winds, which turn to crap for us. So we want to try and get things done before then. So really pushing to get the Kirra Longboard Classic, that entry-level one. And also got a proposal there for a teams event. We've got an invite out, a standing invite out to a team from New Zealand to meet up against an Australian team. And we're hoping to do that the following week, the beginning of September. So, but that, all comes down to dollars, because if we're going to be putting on something of that calibre, we've got to be able to offer airfares and accommodation and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and you have to be able to get on a plane. I guess that'd be helpful as well.
Yeah, well, we're feeling that it'll probably be easier to get from New Zealand to Australia, vice versa, for the next 18 months. I think it's going to be very hard for people from a lot of the other countries to get to Australia. I think those international borders will remain closed for at least 12 months, is my reckoning. So
by the sound of things, there's going to be a quite few months at least anyway, competitively. Now, let's go back to the pointy and the WSL Pro Tour. Jack, you competed at the Noosa event. How did you finish up second of the Aussies there? Is that right? I'm just trying to remember.
I had a shocker. I got dusted in the third round, I think. But I don't know what's going to go. I don't know what's going to happen for the rest of the year. I guess it's all on hold. I don't see anything happening for this year, just because obviously there's the international travel ban, and the US is obviously not in the best position to have us. So who knows? I guess it's up to WSL and Devon, but yeah, I don't think there might be possibly one, maybe at Malibu or Lowe's at the end of the year, but yeah, I think they'll probably most likely carry points over to next year or.
And so what do you think will happen there? I'm not trying to put you on the spot, and if you don't know, you don't know. That's fine. But has there been any indication to you guys as pro competitors what will happen if that was the only event for the year? Will the points from Noosa determine the world champ?
It's a tough one. I don't know, because Noosa was you can't crown a world champion off Noosa event just because it was only a 5,000. I believe there needs to be a 10,000 or a bigger contest with points to crown the world champ. Like Joel can't end up world champion this year if there's not to be another event. They'll either carry them over to next year and include them in the points. But I don't know how it's going to work, because they're obviously for this next event they're going to choose the last year's rankings plus Noosa's event, this year's Noosa's event, to get the next, to cut the field down to say 32 or 24. So
I see. Yeah.
There's still a lot up in the air, and it's a bit all over the place, and no one really knows what's going to happen. I guess it's just wait and see if there's the travel ban. Yeah.
That's understandable. I guess no one was expecting this to come along, so there wouldn't be a contingency for the entire country shutting down, or the whole world for that matter.
Yeah.
So,
Jack, or can I butt in? Have you heard anything about how it will be formulated if it does go ahead next year, from the point of view that WSL have revamped the CT and the QS events?
Yeah, no, I haven't heard how it's going to affect the longboard tour. I don't know. I would say that it would probably just stick to what it is. You know, they might make, Noosa another 5,000 and make some other events bigger, prize money and points, but I don't think it's going to be the same as the CT. Is that what you mean?
Well, whether they had decided to revamp how they were doing things altogether.
I think they were talking about more sort of regional qualifying series, including that in there before all this happened. So possibly, for example, if you have the Australasia region having more events, probably like the Whalebone and your event, Sean, to include as a qualifying to the championships was talk that I heard of previously, but what happens now, I'm not sure.
They haven't been talking to me at all, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I heard there was rumors of a possibility of having like a world qualifying QS in a sense that it's a world qualifier, so anyone from any region around the world can come and qualify through your region, just like the shortboard QS.
Yeah.
Which makes it good and bad. The prize money's not enough for me to go to Spain or Portugal just to do a QS just to qualify it. So I don't think that the steps are in place and the prize money's not there for me to go to Portugal for a QS just to get on tour. It's not really.
So how strong a voice are our surfers getting then, Jack? Sorry to cut in on you. So I know that there's been great steps made within the management of WSL and Surfing Australia as far as focusing on longboarding, which got neglected there for a little while. Is there a dialogue between the competitors, the pro tour guys and girls? Kirra, throw in if you know this. Is there a dialogue helping to discuss it, or is it just a matter of waiting for them to give you a decision?
Look, I don't know. I don't think the surfers have much input. I think it's up to Devon and the guys at WSL. But mate, it's a tough one. It's obviously been a problem for the last 5 or 10 years, and I think it's just there's a lot of issues with the way things are run and how to get more people into the sport and qualifying and prize money, and it's just a tough subject, I guess. But I don't know. We'll find out.
All right then. Well, let's change up the tone of things a little bit, and it kind of ties in with what you're saying. So there's been a big change certainly since I've been involved in longboarding, and like I said, I came in really late in life. But that was when high performance longboarding. I won a lot of heats and things from doing vertical re-entries and roundhouse, figure 8 cutbacks and bouncing off the foam and things. And now it's gone much more into the traditional elements of longboarding. How does that sit with you guys? We'll start with you, Nate, the youngster. Do you like the traditional, or do you like the high performance, or do you want to see a bit of both?
Yeah, I like a little bit of both. Obviously, the traditional maneuvers are traditional obviously, and they've been around for a long time, and I think that's what it definitely should be based on. But I also do like, that you can do a re-entry or a cutback or something to, add to the scoring potential. So I'd like to see a bit of both. I think, you've got to have a bit of everything in your repertoire to be successful. Yep,
and I guess that's obviously been heavily imprinted into the judging panels as well. What about yourself, Jack? I know that you're more than capable in both aspects or both ends of the scale. How are you loving the current mix as far as the combination of a traditional and progressive longboarding?
Yeah, it's new, it's exciting. It's been a good challenge jumping on just single fins and surfing them and improving that side of my surfing. So I'm kind of happy about that. But it's I came into this sport looking up to the guys that were riding progressive longboarding. And that's why I chose to follow the sport, I guess. And I still love the sport just as much as it is now. I just hope that the new direction doesn't lean too far heavily on just, traditional surfing. I hope that I think Devon is doing a good job in making sure that there's still the combination, not so heavily one or the other, but hopefully they don't rule out each other long term.
Kirra Molnar, you're obviously from the Style Lord paradise of Noosa Points up there. So have you always ridden wide-tailed pigs, or
No, I started on a 5/8 shortboard, and the first time I competed in the Noosa Festival of Surfing, I pretty much just tried to shortboard the longboard. So I do really appreciate a good turn. And I think the trickiest thing they're trying to do at the moment is to combine the two and like get that judging criteria right. But it does have to be a balance of the two. And it's actually been really amazing seeing people like Jack and a lot of the other crew kind of adapt the styles together. And I know it's like so challenging, especially having that, high performance and then having to adapt to like a proper logging style. And I think ultimately you want to see the best of both is the most aesthetically appealing, thing, is seeing a surfer, all-rounded surfer who can turn and can hang 10,
So just to insert a little bit of activity into this, let's just have a quick look at someone doing a bit of longboard surfing. In fact, I want to talk to you about my favourite manoeuvre. If that's all right with you guys?
Head dips.
I am a founding member of the Head Dip Appreciation Society, and what we've been doing is spreading the head dip love far and wide. And recently I was at the Agnes Water Longboard Classic in central Queensland, I guess it is. And we got chatting with a couple of the club members up there about the idea of head dips and how whether they liked it or not. And I don't know if this is all going to be all jumpy for you now, but what we found was by the end of the contest, everyone started doing head dips. So I love going down the beach and seeing the kids sticking their head in there and having a good time. What's your favourite fun manoeuvre to do? We'll start with you, Sean. What's your favourite fun manoeuvre?
Mate, can't go past climbing inside a great big keg there at Kirra. Yeah, it's there's no ifs or buts. When that throws over you and you're looking for your way out, that is what it's all about.
Yeah. So, Kirra, I've seen I'm trying to queue up this video. There's a couple of awkward manoeuvres on the beach breaks there at Agnes, but what gives you the most pleasure in your surfing when it's not knee-high on a beachy?
Just trying something different, I guess. Like trying to surf switch, or I've been trying to do a couple hang heels in the progress of trying things that are new, I guess, is my favorite thing, because it's a bit more of a challenge than just surfing the everyday. So I've been trying to change it up a little bit, and that's been really fun.
And so that's a fine line to walk as well, I guess, from a contest point of view, knowing how much time you can devote to learning new things rather than refining your current act. But really interesting to see people like Ray Gleave. Ray surfed really well up at Agnes, and he was in the 10-foot SUP division as well as the longboard, in fact, over 40s and over 50s. And I think he finaled in all three divisions. And he's got that beautiful drop knee cutback, which you see other people copying. But Jack, who's been your mentor as far as someone you might have copied a manoeuvre from, and what's your favourite manoeuvre to do? What gets you the points and what makes you happy?
I wish I could say drop knee like Gleavy, but I still look at Gleavy's photos on Instagram every now and again and just try and practice it. Sometimes I just still can't do it. I'm slowly learning, but I don't know. I've kind of just always looked up to guys like Dane and Harley and Jared and guys from Hawaii like Ned Snow and Kai and that. So I've kind of always been more focused on performance longboarding. It's been cool transitioning obviously to riding more, classical nose riders and stuff. So just picking bits and pieces up from, really good surfers like CJ and, guys in America that rip.
Great to see. I think what's inspired me with longboarding is the older guys can still hang out there for so long. Like I lived with Mark McNamara for a little while, and he recognise Glevy as being where he got his drop knee from. But then there's just little tweaks, little things you can do. You never stop learning, do you? So, Sean, you've been obviously surfing for a long, long time. And what was your go-to move, mate? What were you known for?
I think I had a pretty good cutback, and that featured in the movie they made about the first Noosa Festival back in '92 or whatever it was. But yeah, sort of just bottom turns, cutbacks. I had a good casual carving style, but certainly nose riding was not my forte, and I don't know why.
So, yeah, it's a power to weight ratio thing, I think. It's because you've got an 8-foot board, mate. That's what slowed you down. So, Kirra, I'm just trying to run that video of you surfing up at Agnes, and it doesn't want to play. So, I'm going to go during the week. I knew this would happen. It worked perfectly when we were chatting the other day. So, Nathan, over to you then, mate. Obviously, again, I'm going to keep picking on you for being the youngster. What gives you the good vibe when you're surfing, mate? What makes it fun for you?
Like Jack and Kirra was saying, that drop knee cutbacks, like trying to practice that's been pretty fun. As well as I do love a good little soul arch. Just having fun. Yeah, like Kieran that was saying, just trying new things and experimenting with it all. Like we watched, a lot of, we're pretty lucky down here. We've got like guys like Ben Considine, who's kind of leading the way for Victorian surfing, and he's on the World Longboard Tour with you guys. But yeah, just trying to sort of copy a little bit of his style and get some moves out of his repertoire. Trying to just watch him a lot. So that's probably what I'm loving at the moment.
Yep. So for me, it's head dips, as I said. But what I'm finding really inspirational just recently is the women's longboarding. I know that the story at Noosa was the Hawaiian girls, 2 teenagers from Waikiki making it to the final of the WSL Pro event at Noosa. But Kirra, you've been around for a little while. It seems weird to say because you're so young, but how are you finding that charge at the moment? Because it used to be that like 1 or 2 of the girls at the top could serve great, and then the rest were kind of making up numbers and having a great time. Seems like all the girls charge now. What's going on?
Yeah, I heard that because I'm fairly new to doing the whole WSL tour and that sort of thing. And honestly, like, everyone in the water rips. Every time you see a heat draw, you're like, oh my gosh, no matter who's in the heat. But yeah, the young girls are doing really well. And sometimes I think it's because they just surf every day and that's all they do. But yeah, no, the girls are ripping, and they're also charging. Like, we were in Taiwan the end of last year, and it was pretty heavy out there. And Devon had a little talk to us before. They're about to run the women's round 1 event, and basically sort of said, it's pretty heavy. Like, how you feel comfortable, and every single girl paddle out, and it was awesome to see everyone charging. And I think, you watch each other charge and see the girls charge, and you just want to go for it yourself. So yeah, it's awesome.
And like I said, just the camaraderie on the beach seems to be better. I think the girls are just leading the way all around. So listen, I suppose we haven't had much in the way of questions this week because someone didn't get the YouTube, the live stream onto Facebook, right? So I'm just going to have a little quick flick through here. But the other night we got a couple of little messages. Obviously, Gary McCormick saying g'day to Jack because he's a big fan of Jack's, has been forever and a day from what I can gather. But I had a couple of questions from a bloke by the name of Glenn Solomon who it would really irritate me to give him a prize. But we're going to go with one of the questions he asked. Leg rope, yes or no? Ankle or knee? Nathan?
Knee.
Knee? Beautiful. Sean?
Knee, and I think that Judy Akir should wear one if there's a crowd.
Yep. Kirra?
I would go knee, definitely. And yeah, knee.
Now, the controversy of the leg rope, I think it's been getting a bit of a run in your local turf there, Jack. So where do you stand on the whole leg rope?
Yeah, it's a pretty big topic up here. I've been told we put a leg rope on all the time, but look, I don't know. I wear leg ropes. If I don't feel comfortable, or if I think it's too big and I'm going to lose my board, I've got no hesitation to put one on. But if I'm logging at the pass, or if it's under, if I feel like I'm in control and it's under head high, I tend to not wear one.
Great answer.
Yeah.
Common sense. as a shortboarder, it took me a while to get used to wearing a knee leggy, but I've now realised that makes it a lot easier to try to walk. So yeah, where I surf, if I'm surfing on my own, no leggy sometimes, but most of the time I'm on a reef somewhere and I don't want to have to swim for my board, so I'll wear a leggy. So there you go, Glenn Solomon. You are the winner of this week's cavalcade of wax from the lovely people at Huey's Choice. Thank you, Tony Marsh on the Gold Coast, for making a great product and for supporting the show. But guys, we're just about reached our hour. No doubt if we were live stream, we'll be getting run down. I know Scotty Channon was he's just messaging me, telling me that the live stream's not working. Michael Cotty has sent me about 20 messages while we've been on the chat. But that's almost been an hour. Have you guys got anything you want to get off your chest?
Good hour, guys.
Yeah, just wanted to mention that we're still waiting for, I don't know if you guys know of Uncle Owen Jones. He passed away just recently, and we're just waiting to hear when we can do a paddle out for him. Looks as though it could be next week. But if anybody wants to keep in touch with what's happening and do something in their own area, there is a Facebook page, Remembering Owie. So
We'll, Sarah Robertson will be updating us as well with that information, Sean. So as that information comes to hand, we'll post it on the Oz Longboarding Facebook page. So yes, actually, Owie obviously been around for a long, long time, a bit of a legend in his own right. Certainly not the knight in shining armour that some people have seen in the bloody rat bag. But
great stories from him.
Yeah, great mate. He's been through. He's had some interesting experiences. Maybe we can chat about those when we're not on air, but certainly Sean's smiling. He knows more than I do, no doubt. But Owie, we miss you, mate, wherever you're watching from. We love you. We have lost a few people through the surfing world, and, of course, it's always sad when they go, but great to have those memories of our surfing superstars. And they do really live on in the styles of surfers and so on as well, you know. I see Mark McNamara is still living through some of the younger crew. Clinton Guest is a great example of someone keeping Macca alive. So it's a beautiful sport we have. Thanks for your company. Has anyone got anything else I need to share? Jack?
Good, mate. Thanks for the first episode and having me on.
Mate, thanks so much. You've got to get a bit more light on your face next time.
Sorry, mate.
You're going to be shadow. You looked way too handsome yesterday with the light on your face, so it's better for us old people if you don't look your best. Sean worked out the technology in the end. We thought we weren't going to be able to hear him today, so well done there, mate.
Mate, I'm getting there. I now know how to use the TV remote as well.
I want to see Surf Report next week up on the screen.
Okay, I'll have it there. I'll pull a picture of Kirra pumping as well.
Oh, look, I think now that you've said that, Kirra, you've just made me feel like, you know, like I'm not up to the task of you young blokes and young people. So can you see that?
Oh yeah.
Got it.
Look at me doing all flash, and that's all internet-y stuff. Look at that. So as you can see down here, this is Perth metropolitan area. That 40-50-40 on Sunday, that means it's not much fun to go surfing. So it's looking like being Tuesday a fantastic day, and once again, the people who work Monday to Friday get skunked, and the weekend warriors don't get away. But Monday, Tuesday, we'll be into it. So wherever you are watching from around our fine state, thank you very much, Mr. Nathan Rivalland from Victoria.
Thanks,
thank you, Sean McKeown from the Gold Coast / Borderlands. Kirra Molnar, a bit further north, up there in the Sunshine Coast. Get some long right-handers for me, please, Kirra. And of course, multiple Australasian WSL champion and Gary McCormick's recommendation to be our style and clothing correspondent, the Twiz, Jack Entwistle. Thanks for joining us as well, mate.
Thanks, guys, and nice hanging out.
Awesome, mate. Look
Hello to everyone.
Next week, and remember, of course, we will have on Mr. Steve Del Rosso, shaper and owner of Clearwater Surfboards, to discuss design features and what goes into a good longboard, wherever you are around Australia. Thanks for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you same time, 6 p.m, hopefully live streaming on the Facebook page. But from WA, I'm Weeksy. From Nath, Kirra, Sean and Jack, thanks for your company. We'll see you next week on episode 2 of Oz Longboarding. Bye for now.
Cheers, guys. Stay safe.
See ya.